I don't think I've ever seen a more collective hatred towards a certain profession than being a landlord. No matter what job you have, from being an e-celeb YouTuber to a respected lawyer, you'll always have people that like and respect the profession, but I've never seen a more overwhelming distaste for landlords. If you don't know what a landlord is, you're probably living at home right now with your family, and believe me, when you leave, it only gets worse. It's essentially someone that buys a house, and instead of doing it up and selling it for profit like most people, they proceed to sit on it and then let people also live in their house while charging extortionate amounts each month. This could be anyone from students at uni or college to even people trying to start a small family. And landlords will do amazing things. Like when you go into a place that doesn't look very nice, they'll say it's lived in, and you'll see a huge crack on the wall, and instead of them fixing it, they'll just put a big poster over it that says live, laugh, love. One thing that is unfortunately very common with landlords is when there's any kind of damage from a previous tenant, instead of like fixing it and polishing it up for the next tenant, they'll just cover it up. So usually when they say an accommodation has been lived in, that means there are rats in the walls and the wallpaper is peeled from the amount of times it's been pissed on. Like, I'm not even memeing. Landlords can be so bad. It's one of the main reasons subreddits like anti-work have gone completely viral, because you get people in their early to mid 20s that are working a grueling 9 to 5 only to realize the person who lives on top of them, they make 10 times the amount of money by just sitting on property doing nothing. I can say as a Zoomer, nothing hurts more. Nothing will ever hurt more than making like somewhat of a fat stack from work only to have to give 80% of that away to a landlord. And their only obligation will be to walk up and down the hallway spraying air freshener every 5 to 8 months. One of my friends who stayed in a rented apartment in the UK, his sink basically flooded. It was overflowing and the heating didn't work. And when he inquired about a way to fix it, because it was pretty urgent, they just said, we'll send someone over in like a month, I guess. If you think about it though, a month isn't too bad. The sink's overflowing with dirt and grime. Just use the toilet to do your dishes. You can even drink out of it as well. And the heating, I hear outside some homeless people just gathered around a barrel that they've set on fire. Just go warm yourself there. Also, with all that said, that'll be $800 a month, please. Now, obviously, I do want to say, because I'm going to have like 2 landlords watch this video, I am aware that there are good landlords and there are actually bad tenants. Like, for example, some tenants that will just keep dodging pay, and when they get confronted, they'll basically bail the entire apartment, leaving it behind to look like an unloaded Fallout 3 texture. But for the most part, on a scale, unfortunately, it is the landlord usually that doesn't respect the tenant. But today, I bring you probably the most unhinged landlord yet. We are talking Joaquin Phoenix doing the bathroom dancing scene in Joker tier bad. Most landlords get pretty, petty or condescending towards their tenant when they have a debate and someone films it, but I've yet to see one until now where they brandish a firearm. I've seen a lot of filmed confrontations between landlords and tenants. Usually the landlord is quite angry that the tenant won't pay their parents' ashes up front as payment, but this landlord goes straight into just Super Saiyan levels insanity.
What is it?
Have you ever seen one of these before?
I've seen one of these.
You know what it is?
I know what it is.
So already, what can I say except only in America? But even for America, what landlord would be brandishing a firearm in front of a tenant as an intimidation tactic? It's wild. You gotta love as well that the cope here is the landlord doesn't have his finger on the trigger. Honestly, some good trigger discipline there, despite the fact that you're, waving a fully loaded gun in front of a student. Truly, he knows how to handle a firearm. So apparently the context here is a tenant was looking at leaving their accommodation and they wanted their deposit money back, the money they put down to get the place in the first place. Now, unfortunately, the landlord wasn't having any of that. And apparently it's not confirmed, but he might be drunk in this video. He's slurring his words a lot and he's kind of having like trouble standing up straight and stuff. And he's, speaking in kind of a drunk way, I guess. And I do want to say as well, there's always context to this. When people start filming halfway, you've got to look at both sides, because when you film halfway into an altercation, it's like you start off at season 5 of Breaking Bad and you wonder why the guy that makes meth has hair now. But again, it's incredibly hard to not side with the student who's filming because he's not waving a loaded gun around.
Well, you gonna treat me with it?
No.
Okay then.
I just want to make sure you know it's here.
Of course! How could I have not foreseen this classic? The perfect excuse of, I'm not going to shoot you. I just want you to know I have a loaded firearm, which I won't shoot you with. I just have it. I actually could not tell that the American owned a firearm. Thank you so much for waving it around like you're inspecting a CSGO skin.
Really stupid. I would protect myself.
Why would you protect yourself?
Why would I protect myself?
Yes. Did I
I
threat
have a
you?
right to protect myself.
Did I threat you?
Did you what?
Did I threat you?
threaten me?
Yeah.
The thing is, this is like the worst combination imaginable because you have someone who isn't a native speaker and then you've got someone who's just blind drunk. If anything, I feel like I'm watching one of these like Twitch political debates that go on for 4 hours long and both parties have forgotten what they're even talking about.
Why? What if I go to the kitchen? What are you gonna do? You gonna shoot me?
We'll see what I do. I didn't threaten to shoot you.
But you said if you go to the kitchen and you have the gun with you, what are you gonna do?
If I have the gun with me, maybe you should figure it out.
Honestly, you could just overlay the Joker bathroom music while he made that speech. I have never heard anyone say something so unhinged that wasn't wrote down on a script. So he said that he just has the gun to let him know that he has it, but then he's like indirectly threatening him that he's going to use it. If anything, the landlord's making it out that behind the guy filming is like 8 hostages. Honestly, if the tenant wasn't interrupting the landlord so much, he'd probably do a big speech about how society turned him into a monster.
We'll see what I do. I didn't threaten to shoot you.
So
You think you're so smart?
So you're gonna shoot
You
me?
figure out what I'm going to do.
What are you gonna do? You gonna shoot me?
I didn't say that. I said figure it out. Figure it out.
Okay, I'll figure it out. So go to the kitchen.
What?
I will still go to the kitchen.
The video ends here, and honestly, most respectful landlord I've seen in quite a while. But obviously, you know, we need more details. They cut to black just before Saul got the lawyer degree. So lurking on Reddit, I found a bit more to the story. Apparently, the police did get involved, but because the guy was saying so much slurred lingo, he apparently never made a direct threat, so the police couldn't pursue any kind of charge. So apparently, waving a gun around saying figure it out isn't perceived as a threat. Good to know. Good to know. Also, apparently the student is in a new location now. He's safe. He's looking at pressing charges, but the court wants $400 up front before they even conceive it to be a charge. But the problem is there, the entire point of the argument was it was a student and he wanted his deposit money back. So I'm assuming money isn't great at the minute. This was in Denton, Texas, and the police there found no crime committed, which is insane. Now, I want to say, I'm not a lawyer, and neither is Reddit, but I've seen a couple buzzwords being thrown around, like brandishing of a firearm, and also false imprisonment, because, you know, he was keeping the guy on the stairs and wouldn't let him leave because he was going to imply that he was going to shoot him. I mean, at the end of that video with the guy sat on the stairs, it's like an 8-year-old who got caught swearing on Roblox, so he's being sent to bed without any dinner. But yeah, that's probably the most unhinged landlord I've seen in a good while. I'm happy that I'm not a landlord, and I'm happy that I don't have to deal with landlords anymore. It's a good feeling. To anyone with a landlord, I totally understand where you're coming from, because Jesus Christ. We pour one out for you, man. Jesus.
他の書類はもう用意してありま
いいぞ。
す。ねえ、ちょっとジミー、何？
ソウル・グッドマン。